Hi BookTube, my name is Juan. I am just one reader, and today I will be answering the middle grade book tag. I wasn't tagged in this, but I have seen some people do this tag recently. I have seen Getting Hooked with It do this, and Amy Poole, and I love both of their channels. So I decided to watch the original tag, which was created by The Curly Reader. Very interesting channel, and these are some questions revolving around middle grade fiction, children's fiction, which is something that I have always found very delightful, joyous, and a very good palate cleanser. So I love dipping in and out of certain middle grade books whenever I feel like I really need to freshen up my reading taste buds, you know what I mean? Question number one is, what is the last middle grade book that you read? And I could not think of just one. I came up with 3 answers. These are 3 books that I read last year or very recently and that I have really enjoyed. The Dragonfly Pool by Eva Ibbotson, which is just one of the best middle grade books I've ever read. Eva Ibbotson is a great middle grade author. She has many novels out, fantasy, romance, and you cannot go wrong with Eva Ibbotson. This one in particular was lovely, absolutely beautiful. It's about this group of children who go to this strange school in a strange country in the middle of the Second World War, and it's full of adventure and whimsy and loveliness, and it's really good. Then I also have The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Shape of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. Really enjoyed the lyrical, whimsical writing style. That's really what I enjoyed the most about this book, was the writing style and how playful everything felt, just really whimsical. Whimsy is something that you will see a lot of in the selection of books for this video. And thirdly and finally, we have Talk Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is a book that I read a couple of years ago, and it really surprised me. I had never heard of this. Being Mexican, I had never heard of this, and I was really surprised. It was really, really beautiful, and emotionally and thematically, it really resonated with me. Question number 2 is, what is a middle grade book that someone read to you as a child? I have to say my parents, my family in general, have never been readers. They don't like reading. No one in my family likes reading. So when I was growing up, I picked up reading pretty much on my own. I've always said that in many ways I was raised like a free-range chicken or something. Like, I was able to do whatever I wanted to do. And my parents were there supervising and guiding me, but I was like a free-range chicken in that way. So I picked up reading on my own, but I do remember that my father actually read the first chapters of Harry Potter with me, and this is, I think, the only experience I have with either of my parents reading with me or to me. I remember he was reading some of the chapters with me, and then I just kept reading by myself. And yeah, that's the only experience I can think of, because in school, my school was also a school that didn't really promote reading at all. So whatever I read on my own. Question number 3 is, what was your favorite middle grade book as a child? Well, all of the Harry Potters, of course. Harry Potter took a huge chunk of my life and my identity when I was growing up. So of course, Harry Potter would be the obvious answer. But other than Harry Potter, I guess the Lemony Snicket books were really important. A series of unfortunate events. I would just devour them and wait very eagerly for the next one to come out. Same thing with the Chronicles of Narnia. I would read one and then go and buy the next one, and then read it and then go and buy the next one. It never occurred to me that you could buy the whole set and then just read them on your own. I would just sort of read them like that. I also really enjoyed the Artemis Fowl series by Owen Colfer. which is a series that I don't see a lot of people talking about here on BookTube, but they are great. I also enjoyed the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. What else? I read a lot of Philip Pullman. He's gonna come up in a following question. I wouldn't say that Historic Materials is middle grade. I would say that those books are more young adult. They are slightly more mature, but I did read them when I was young, so maybe those ones. Yeah, so though Narnia, Artemis Fowl, Historic Materials, Philip Pullman's work, Roald Dahl, I also read some Roald Dahl, Harry Potter, Artemis Fowl, already said that. A Series of Unfortunate Events. Question 4 is, what is your favorite middle grade book as an adult? No question, The Phantom Tollbooth. This is just one of the best novels I've read in recent years, and it happens to be a middle grade book. When I read it, I felt joy and delight and, again, whimsy that I hadn't experienced since I was really young, and reading this book as an adult just took me back, and it's very, very clever. The main focus, or the main thing that made me love this book so much, was the language, the way that the book itself is written, but also it is a book about language and about the power and the experiments and the little tricks that you can do with language, especially the English language. It's bizarre and it's hilarious, and it's exactly the kind of book that I wish I could have read when I was an actual middle grader, but even as an adult, I know I will read this for a long time. Question number 5 is, who is your favorite middle grade author? And I was thinking about J.K. Rowling, but then again, I would only be saying J.K. Rowling based on Harry Potter, so I don't think that counts. I would say instead Philip Pullman is an author whose middle grade fiction is more diverse. He has more options, not just one series. He has Historic Materials, which again I don't think is middle grade, but Historic Materials. He has the Sally Lockhart quartet of books. He has many different separate novels that are, some of them are more childlike than others, but he is a pretty consistent author. And whenever my parents got me a Philip Pullman book, I felt such a joy and such excitement that I was going to be in the hands of a beloved author for a couple of days. I remember reading, I clearly remember reading many of his books, Count Karlstein, the Sally Lockhart books, The Firework Maker's Daughter, Clockwork, many of his novels, and just feeling, it's a feeling that I haven't gotten as an adult, or with some books I have, but it's something that I really associate with my childhood. So I would say Philip Pullman, and I would also say Michael Ende. Michael Ende, or Michael Ende, he wrote my favorite book, The Never-Ending Story, which again I don't think counts as middle grade fiction, even though many children, or many readers read it when they are children. I think it is much more than just middle grade. I think it's just a perfect piece of fantasy. But I have read some of his other works for children, and I really enjoyed him. He is one of those infallible authors. I know when I am reading something by him that I am going to absolutely adore that book. Question number 6 is very interesting. What middle grade book do you think should be required reading in school? I would say Harry Potter, because I hope that Harry Potter can give many new generations of children the same thing that it gave me, which was the joy of reading and falling in love with the act of reading. But another answer would be Historic Materials by Philip Pullman, just because I feel like those books are necessary, because children are not, in my opinion, children are never taught how to think for themselves and to be curious enough. I think we need more of that. We need to encourage curiosity, and I think that's what those books are about. Question number 7 is, what is your favorite middle grade book cover? And this question was very hard. I could not come up with the ultimate, most favorite, most beautiful cover, but I think this is the right time to talk to you about this book, El Libro Salvaje. This is one of the best books that I have read in recent years. It actually is a book that I should have used as an answer for many questions in this book tag, but there are so many things that I would like to say about this book, but suffice it to say that this is Mexican middle grade, the best that I've ever read. Essentially, it is the story of this boy whose parents are getting divorced, and he is, for some reason, I don't remember, he's sent to live with his uncle. And his uncle is a weird, eccentric, whimsical character who lives sort of underground in a hidden sort of mansion, amazing place, and he has a labyrinth of books, and it's a very bookish adventure. It's a book for bookish readers and children. If you can find this book, if you can find it in Spanish, read it in the original Spanish. If you can find a translation, read the translation. Not only is the cover pretty, it's also beautifully illustrated throughout the entire book. So yeah, this is one of the best middle grade books that I can think of in general that I've read. It's a book that I am constantly recommending to people, and whenever I recommend it to someone, that person always comes along and they tell me thank you, because I never thought it would be as amazing as it was. Finally, question 8 is, what is your favorite middle grade book to screen adaptation? And there are many adaptations that I have enjoyed, but I think there is a special place in my heart for Matilda. That book by Roald Dahl is really good, but the movie itself sort of has defined my life from a very early age. I remember watching that movie as one of the first movies that I ever watched, and immediately identifying with her, with Matilda, the character of Matilda, who always felt sort of lonely because, as I said in some question of this video, I never really felt like I belonged in my family in terms of reading, because it was not something that we shared. It wasn't a shared interest. It was just something that was mine, and I really loved having that inner world, and I still do, but it's something that has always set me apart. It's something that I don't share with anyone very, very close to me. So I really could relate to Matilda in that regard, and the movie has so many wonderful things that I still remember. It's a movie that I know by heart. I know the dialogues. I know it's just wonderful. It's one of those memories that I have that really made me into the reader that I am today. That's it. That is the middle grade book tag, very fine book tag created by the Curly Reader. Please go and check out her channel. And I am going to tag Leo from A Little Book Life, Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, Steve from Steve Donahue, and I'm also going to tag Chris Bookish Cauldron. I don't know how present he is. I hope he's watching. And I'm also going to tag anyone else who's watching this. Thanks for watching. I am Just One Reader.